how long do you think this ESG, DEI, all these sort of movements that are coming about, how long do you think these things will last for? Me and Aaron were talking about it earlier today off call. Um, we were just saying, is this the new way of life? Is this going to last?
Because I feel the average person doesn't have the appetite for this sort of nonsense, this ESG and DEI. They really don't care if you go and speak to the average person on the street.
Are you telling me you didn't enjoy The Little Mermaid uh, or anything that's come out of Hollywood in the last 7 years, uh, at least? ESG and diversity, they're kind of two different things, but they go along the same path. The path is you must obey. You're a slave. You're a peon. You have no voice. Do what we tell you. Don't think. And that's a problem. I have a massive problem with that because you're an individual. You're not a category. And I know that equity is the rage right now. Equity, equity. We need equity. What is equity? It is the exact opposite and antithesis of equality. It is category taking away people's individuality, replacing it with categories of types of people, and then artificially giving a priority to those categories based on some political ideology by a group of people, a small group of elites that you know nothing about. Why are trans people deserve more equity than Black women, than white men, than straight people? Who created that list? Did you vote on it? Because I damn well didn't. They didn't give us that choice. No, they just came out and said, well, this is the new list, because it used to be LGBTQ. It used to be gay. It used to be lesbian women that were one of the top of the tiers. No, they've been knocked down several steps. Why? Who said that? Who made that decision? Single women have been knocked down. Why? Because Black women are more important than single women. Why? Lesbians, if you're a lesbian and you have color, you're higher. Why is that the important thing? Because someone arbitrarily told you that's what it is, and you're not supposed to think, you're not supposed to question. And if you do think or question it, then you're the bad guy. You're the problem. You've done something wrong because you have asked a question about this rather than obey. That's inherently a problem. So I kind of went on a tangent here, but that's diversity, equity, inclusion. Here's the other problem with diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, is, are you good? Kamala Harris was in West Point last week, and she spoke. Almost 60-70% of all the coverage was Kamala Harris's first Black woman to speak the commencement speech, the graduation speech at West Point. Who cares? Why is that important? If we're going by the left, men and women are equal. There is no difference. So why do you care that she's a woman speaking there? We've had many vice presidents speak at the graduation of West Point. That's not new. She's a vice president. So on that level, no one cares. If you're telling me that men and women are the same, then we don't care. What we are not talking about in 70% of the media, especially the major media, we're talking about her color of skin and her gender instead of what did she say? What did she tell the next future of our leadership in our military? That's important. That's the thing we need to know. That's going to have consequences, not because the fact that she's a woman, she's Black or Indian or whatever changes that on a regular basis. That's meaningless. Even by the left's standards themselves, that's meaningless. So why we care? Because diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm sorry, that's just an excuse to try and indoctrinate and shut down people's voices. It's a way to tell them to shut up. We used to say you're a bigot and a racist. No one cares about that anymore because everything's bigoted and racist. It's subliminal. Remember, we subconsciously have all these racist microaggressions going through our minds all the time. Then the word racist has no meaning. The word bigot has no meaning. There's no negative to that anymore because it's always happening to everyone all the time. Well, then it's useless to even have this conversation. So they've invalidated their own argument. So they have to distract us to something else. So that's why I don't like DEI, because it doesn't mean I have the best person. It means I have the right equity categories. I have the right political, what's the word I'm looking for? Not substance, but presentation. I have the best presentation. Superficial. That's the word I was looking for. It's the best superficial look. It has nothing to do with, are you qualified? Can you do the job? And what are you doing? What's the content of what you have provided? Absolutely meaningless. So there's DEI. What's ESG? ESG is just the commercial aspect of DEI. You are a company, you want money, you need money to run. You must push DEI, you must push intersectionality, critical race theory, gender identity. You have to push these messages, regardless of whether the consumers want it, because it's stakeholders. Guess what? Stakeholders are the employees. Stakeholders are the investors. The only thing a business should be worried about is selling a product. Do the consumers want the product I am selling? Do I have a product that they can use or that they want to consume? If I do, I make money. If I don't, I go bankrupt. Oh, but now they've said stakeholder investment, you have to do this regardless if it makes money or not. Otherwise, we won't give you more money. That is coercion.
And that can be seen big time, as you referred to earlier, in Hollywood, because they're putting out so much junk at the moment that a lot of people don't want to watch, but yet they keep putting it out because that's what they're getting funded to that's what they're getting funded for, to put that this type of material out.
Yeah, but we see it most obviously and most critically in entertainment. Because, well, we go to movies, we see the ticket receipts, we see that on streaming. So it's ever present, and entertainment is a very big part of our lives. But it's not just in entertainment. I mean, Budweiser, Target, there are many businesses where we are seeing that as well. And this is why Bud Light is still, they've retreated a bit from it, but they're still continuing to push the message. They haven't retreated from it. They blame people for not accepting what they've done. Target has, instead of having their ESG push, which is targeted towards children, the media wants you to think it's about adults. No, it's targeted towards children. And that's the problem, is because we're targeting children, which is unfair and really counterproductive. So they took it from being in the front of their stores and they put it to the back of their stores. They took out one or two items of the clothing that they're selling under this ESG mandate. So it sounds like, oh, see, we've corrected this. No, you still have 90% of the things that you were trying to sell under this message are still being sold under this message. And it's still being sold in the back of the store, not the front of the store. All you did is you tried to distract me from the fact that you're still trying to indoctrinate, even though it's counterproductive. Target's lost at least $9, maybe $10 billion. We're seeing Bud Light almost bankrupting Anheuser-Busch, and that's a good thing. People are rejecting this. They reject it in Disney. I mean, it's lost half its stock market value. We've seen people, Peter Pan and Wendy, The Little Mermaid, She-Hulk. We can go to Velma, the movie Velma. We've seen it with Netflix, Witcher Origins. We've got a lot of this. Rings of Power by Amazon. These are all ESG mandated indoctrination attempts on various levels. They're not good, but we're getting more of it. And we're going to keep getting it until we hit a critical mass and the people and the public revolt. We're going to have a social revolt at some point, and I don't think it's very far off. probably at about the same time that I think China will go and invade Taiwan, about 2025, 2027, probably closer to 2027, I think.